Hi, I'm Jeanette Jeffkins from Onyx Legal, and today I'd like to take you through our quick website legal and cyber audit. So this is something you can do yourself, and if you click on the QR code that we're going to display in just a second, you'll get access to our questionnaire. So what I'm taking you through now is the questions that are in the questionnaire. So play along. So the first page you'll get to in the questionnaire is asking for some personal details. It's just looking for your email address so we can send you the answers to your questionnaire. You can put in your name and your website if you choose to, but you don't have to, and then you can click through to the next page. Now, this page, we've got a couple of questions here that are about owning your website. So the first one is, do you know who your registrant is? Now, a registrant should be you. It should be your name. Because the registrant is the person who holds the license to operate or to use that domain name. And you secure this by paying a license fee, whether you pay it yearly or 5 yearly, however you do it, that's what you're paying for, the right to hang on to this domain name. And the domain name is just how people find you. It's like your address. It's not your website. It's something different from your website. It's just where people find you. So to check whether or not you are the registrant of your domain name, you can do what's called a Who Is search. So the most popular places where I do Who Is searches are Domain Tools, Who Is search, AUDA, which is the Australian registration body, so auda.org. If you do, .org.au. So if you go to AUDA Who Is, you'll be able to do a search there for .com.au or .au domain names. So do a Who Is search on your domain name. That search will give you some results, and it should tell you who the registrar is, which in this day and age, GoDaddy is one of the biggest registrars. In Australia, Crazy Domains is another one. Just look for the registrar, and that will tell you who the registrar is, GoDaddy or someone else. Registrant should be your name. If it is your web developer's name, that may be a problem. If it is someone you don't know, that's a bigger problem. If it is someone who used to work with you, that could also be a problem. We can help you to regain that domain name, but it is important you know who the registrant is and get it sorted out quickly. Next question, where's your hosting? If you don't, so the website content, what people see when they come to your domain name, that content sits somewhere, and that's your hosting provider. You need to make sure you know where it's hosted in the world, because that can impact your privacy obligations. And you also need to keep your payment details up to date, otherwise your website disappears, and that can be a problem for your business. So keep an eye on your hosting, and just to be sure you've got your website backed up. So if you're not a technical person, I'm not a technical person, I don't know how that works. I just know it's important. Make sure you speak to your technical person and say, do we have a working backup? Have you tested it? When was the last time it was backed up? All these things are really important because of ransomware. Ransomware is where someone hacks into your website, they stop you accessing it, and they say, pay us lots of money in order for us to reinstate your website. If you've got a fully functioning backup and it's separate from where your website is hosted, then you can reinstate it, or your technical person can reinstate it, and you don't have to pay ransomware. If you don't have a fully functioning, separately hosted or backed up backup, you can have problems. So that's the first page. Now let's click over to the second page of your questionnaire, and this is focused on the relationships you have with your website visitors. So first and foremost, when we look at a website, what we're looking for is how many different relationships are created through your website, whether that's someone who just browses through, someone who's a member, someone who subscribes to your newsletter, someone who purchases off your website. They're all different types of relationships. So that's what we're looking for. On your website, think about how many relationships you have, and then tell me, do you have terms and conditions that address all of those relationships? Because that's what they're there for. Terms and conditions are designed to protect your business and help manage those relationships. Next question, do you have a disclaimer? You may or may not need a disclaimer. So disclaimers are important in businesses that have a higher level of risk or are regulated. So law is regulated. You have to be a lawyer to provide financial advice. If you're providing, to provide legal advice, you have to be a registered financial advisor or accountant or something like that to provide financial advice. If you are in those kind of industries, then it's appropriate to have a disclaimer on your website. If you're selling something, for example, people who talk about their lived experience from a health perspective, it's important you have disclaimers on your website because you are sharing information and experience not based on training or qualifications, but based on personal lived experience. And it's important that your readers and the people who pay attention to what you're saying understand that, to avoid you having problems. Disclaimers are an opportunity for you to tell your members or your readers what you can do for them and what you can't do for them, and more importantly, what they have to do for themselves. So do you have a disclaimer? Privacy. Do you have a privacy policy on your website? So privacy obligations apply to most businesses. Think about how important it is to you to have your own personal privacy protected. Think about the advertisers ranking advertisements and requiring privacy policies. Consider those issues, because privacy is not just a legal obligation, it can add credibility to your business. So, do you have a privacy policy? And are your terms and conditions, privacy, all those sorts of things, are they easy to find? The conventional place to put them is a footer in your website. If you don't have them in a footer, where are they? And are they easy to find? There's no point making them hard, because if they're hard to find, they don't apply. We had a client a few years ago who was an e-commerce business, and they had hidden their terms and conditions through layers of different links, and they thought that was a good idea. But those terms and conditions were never going to be binding on their customers, because their customers had almost no chance of finding them before the point of purchase. So put them in the conventional spot, footer in there on every page of your website, and you'll be fine. All right, clicking through to the next page of the questionnaire. Now this is all about copyright and consumer law. So first thing, content creation. Do you know where the content has come from for your website? So if you got it designed by a web developer, did they use stock images? And if they use stock images, do you have the licenses to those images? Images in particular are a problem now, because the way to find images has been automated. So there's Google reverse image search, TinEye, there's a number of other different software programs out there. And there's a couple of enterprising businesses, I know one out of Berlin and another out of the US, where they've automated the process of checking for images. So they go and find an artist or a photographer or somebody, and they say, hey, look, authorize us to go and chase money on your behalf, and we will give you a portion of the money we successfully recover. These people just sign off and go, oh yeah, maybe I'll get money one day. And then that whole process is automated. So you get a nasty letter in the mail saying that you're infringing this person's copyright, and you have to pay $3,000+ in order to make up for that infringement. Now, there's a whole process in dealing with that, and if you come across one of those, by all means, please contact us and we can help you. But the point is, if you know where your images come from and you have the licenses for them, or you took the images yourself, then you're fine, because you own copyright. If you don't know, I highly recommend reviewing the images and the content, if you don't know who created it, on your website, and making sure you have the authority to have it up there, and you're not going to get any nasty letters in the mail. And the next thing, social media monitoring. In the last couple of years, there have been a few cases against big media bodies like Google and a number of the different newspaper publishing websites and that kind of thing, saying that they are responsible if there's defamation that they fail to take down. Now, this can equally apply to you if you are managing a group on social media and you receive a complaint about a post and you fail to take it down, or there are complaints about posts and you just simply fail to monitor them. You potentially could be seen as a publisher and then therefore liable for any legal issues associated with those posts. So make sure you understand what your obligations are on social media, that you've got some rules of engagement on your social media pages which give you the authority to kick people off or delete comments, and that people know where to find them. Make sure that's all sorted out. Now, the last question on this page is about describing your services. Do you accurately describe your products and services on your website? So misleading and deceptive representations, this is a problem. Coogan.com got fined recently $350,000 for misleading statements on its website about its products or services. This is why it's important to be accurate. Don't be saying things, like XYZ can cure cancer. That's a very bad thing to say. That upsets lots of people. We've seen businesses sued on behalf of the Cancer Council because of it. So be very careful how you talk about your products and services. It's great to advertise. It's great to talk about the benefits, but don't go so far as to make it misleading. And if you need anything reviewed in that space, by all means, please let us know. We're happy to help. And clicking over to the last page of the questionnaire, this is your website security. Do you have an SSL? You will know if you have an SSL if the domain name address comes up with HTTPS. If there's an S missing, you're missing an SSL. Now, they're not hard to get. They're not expensive nowadays. Your technical people will be able to help you with that. It's part of maintaining the credibility of your business. So check that you've got an SSL on your website, and if not, get one in place quickly. Usernames, be very careful with usernames. So 60% of the world's websites are apparently built on WordPress. WordPress is very easy to find. Most people just put wp-admin after their domain name and they can find whether or not you've got a WordPress website, or they just go into PageSource and you can see it's a WordPress website. If you've got a WordPress website, the most commonly tried username for trying to hack into a website is admin. So if your username is admin, please go and change it. Go and change it now. Don't be using usernames that simple. The most commonly attempted password in the world is apparently password, followed quickly by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, don't pick really obvious usernames and really obvious passwords. You just make it easy for other people to hack into your security. Software and plugins, make sure they're always up to date. And the reason for this is that software producers are creating patches all of the time to try and defeat security issues. So if you don't keep your software and your plugins up to date, then you may be opening loopholes in your security and making it easier for other people to get in. So check that they're up to date. Techie people, you don't have to do everything yourself. Make sure you have some technical people around you who can help you keep all of this in line and keep it up to date and tracked. Now, that's the end of the questionnaire. I hope you kept track of some of your points on the way through. If you click through to the next page, you'll find that there is a captcha code you have to tick. I think you've got to scroll up to get to it if you're on a phone. You might have to scroll down if you're on a desktop or a laptop. But you've got to scroll to get the captcha to tick through, and that'll allow you to click through and get your results sent to you. Now, if you've scored low, the benefit is that you have heaps of room to improve, and please book a short advice session with us to have a chat, and we'll run through some things on potential issues on your website and how we might be able to help you get that up to speed and protect your business a bit better. If you scored highly, congratulations, you're in the top 10% of business websites around the place. Well done, keep up the good work. Just a short reminder, if you haven't had your terms and conditions or privacy or any of those things reviewed in the last 2 years, we recommend to all of our clients that you get those things just reviewed every couple of years, because there are changes in the law, there are changes in the way that you do business, and it's a good idea to keep them up to date so that you keep your business protected for the long term. So I hope this little presentation was helpful for you, and if you'd like to contact us, you can book a short advice session or send us an email. There's a link below for a short advice session, and our email address is below too. Thank you.